Hey there, everybody. Franklin Taggart here. It is time for the virtual coffee break. Here's my coffee. Grab your beverage. Let's have a chat for a minute. A couple of things that are bubbling around. The thing that I think is on my mind today is I've got a couple of folks that I've worked with in recent years who've invested a lot of time and a lot of money, and they've actually created really amazing products. In one case, the person created a book and a podcast and a video channel that were all really nicely integrated, and worked very hard for at least a couple of years on getting that all put together. And then, after it was launched, I don't know what exactly happened, but the steam just wasn't there after the launch was done to go back and really promote it or to build it or to make it happen. Well, that person took some time off from this project, came back to it, and kind of revisioned the project and came up with a different way of doing it that still used the things that were built. The book and the podcast and the video channel were all still usable, still very relevant, and still quite valuable. But the thing that had changed is her initial vision for how it was going to unfold. Once it was out into the world, she had more information to work with. And when she first launched and saw that there were ways that she needed to be out in the world promoting it, she got a little bit fried and a little bit frustrated by it, because those things weren't expected. They were unknown quantities to her before the launch happened. After, taking some time to take stock and figure out what needed to happen, a new kind of a vision and a new kind of strategy began to emerge, and now it's the same thing, but it's going to be delivered in different ways than were initially imagined. But I've seen a lot of folks who get to that point where they actually create a product or a service or something like that. They launch it, and then all of a sudden, once that steam is gone, they don't come back to it for whatever reason. And yet they've created this really valuable thing that really does need to find its crowd. And yet they have reached a point where something just doesn't fit right for them. And 9 times out of 10, the thing that doesn't fit right is that they are uncomfortable with promoting and selling what they've made. And I really feel like that for a lot of folks, there's kind of a hope. And I have to confess that I have done this myself over and over and over again in my life. I'll put heart and soul into creating something. The first thing that comes to my mind is the CD that I made back in 2001. It's the only CD that I've ever finished. But I was kind of under the impression that once it was out in the world, it would get found by people. And that just never happened. And when I realized that I was the one that had to go out and promote it, and I was the one that had to go out and send it to radio stations, and I was the one that had to do all that footwork, I have to admit, it was a little bit disheartening. And yet, when I started to go out and play gigs to promote it, and when I started to send it to radio stations, and it started getting airplay, and what's really funny is CD Baby was still fairly new back then. There wasn't any YouTube yet. I had a website. There wasn't Spotify. There were a few streaming services. I think, Napster was around. And by that time, Napster, I can't remember if Napster had merged with Rhapsody, but what was really, really crazy was that the amount of different places where I could promote it and have it heard were relatively small compared to what's available today. And I just remember having a choice to make at a certain point. It's like there was a part of me that just kind of wanted to go on and do other things besides promote the CD. But then I realized, I put 2 years, almost 2.5 years of my creativity into that project. They weren't the greatest songs that I could have written, but they were the best songs that I had at the time. And I had invested, like when all was said and done, I'd invested about $17,000 in making that CD project. So I felt like that it needed to be given at least a shot. And so I finally got off of my, little diva butt and just said, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do what I have to do to promote this record. And ultimately, I sold out of the first printing of it. I never had it reprinted again because, you know what? CDs by that time were pretty much out of vogue, and streaming was in. It's available on all the streaming services at this point. My favorite place to listen to it is at Bandcamp. But the thing that was really hard for me was really coming around the mountain and facing my own insecurity and my own self-doubt when it came to promoting and selling my own things. I could sell paint off of a barn door if it wasn't my own, and be very successful at it. And I'm very comfortable promoting other people's stuff. But even now, today, it's still, there's like something that gets stuck in your throat when you start to talk about your own creative products, your own things that you've made. And I have that. I deal with that every time that I go out into the world and promote something. So if you hear me get online and say something like, hey, I'm offering a free coaching call, one of the things that's going on my internal, circuit is, there you go, promoting yourself again. They're going to get tired of that. Just this inner message of, of self-reproach, because here I am. I'm plugging something again. Oh, I've got this course. Oh, they're tired of hearing about that. Oh, I've got this program. Oh, they're tired of hearing about that. So I've got those messages going on within me too. But it's hard for me to watch when people have really invested in valuable and important work. And it gets to the point where the only thing between the world and that work is their insecurity about selling. I have to say, this is something that you really have to work through, because there are people that are legitimately waiting for what it is that you've made. Get over your insecurity, whatever it takes, even if it's like, this is the one place where faking it till you make it might be the best advice that you can get. It's like, get out there and just tell somebody about it. Practice talking about it. Practice saying, hey, you know what? I just created this wonderful online course, and I'm excited about the possibilities for the people who take it, because I really feel like that it is going to make a difference in the way that they present themselves. Or it's going to make a difference in the way that they work through traumatic and difficult situations. Whatever, but get comfortable talking about the things that you've created so that they can find their way into the hands of the people who really need them. So the encouragement here, when you start to feel those feelings of concern, insecurity, of, this is where some people really do feel like imposters. Who am I to have done this kind of thing? If you reach that point and you need help getting through it, would you please take advantage of the free Best Next Step call? That's exactly what it's for. And we will get you to a point where you can at least get out there and talk about it in a way that doesn't feel intimidating to you, and that gets the job done in terms of letting other people know what's available to them. Alrighty then, don't give up, folks. It's all worth doing. And at some point, you're going to die. This life will be over. And we don't want to have any of these things still hanging on to us at that time, saying, dang, I wish I would have done that. So there you have it. I'll look forward to another coffee break tomorrow. Thanks, as always, for your time and your attention. I hope you're having a good whatever it is where you are. So long.